The sole worry of Haruhi, who looked like she didn't have a worry in the world, could be summed up with the words, "The world was too normal." So what would she consider not normal? That could be summed up in one word: supernatural. Her mind was constantly asking, why hasn't there been a single ghost shown up before me yet? Incidentally, you can interchange ghost with alien, time traveler, or esper. But you should already know, those things only show up in fiction, not reality. Which means that Haruhi's source of distress would remain as long as she lived in this world. At least that's how it was originally. But I'm currently troubled by the fact that I can no longer be sure. For I happen to know an alien, a time traveler, and an esper. Hey Haruhi, I have something important to tell you. Listen to me. What? You wanted aliens, time travelers, and people who could use ESP, right? Yeah, what about it? So, the goal of the SOS Brigade thing is to find those kinds of people, right? Well, just finding them isn't enough. We have to have fun with them. It would feel like something was missing if we just found them and that was that. I want to be a participant, not an observer. I'll take being an observer for the rest of my life. Whatever, moving on. An alien, time traveler, and an esper are actually closer than you might think. Who might that be? I guess you don't mean Yuki, Mikuru, and Koizumi, right? That wouldn't be closer than I might think in the least bit. Yeah, actually. That's what I was just about to say. Are you stupid? Like it would just happen to work out like that? Well, under normal circumstances, yeah. So, who's the alien? Oh, you'll love this. Yuki Nagato is the alien. Or technically, she's an over something or other. Or was it the data mind thingy? Well, it's some kind of alien consciousness along with those lines sent her. Yeah, she's a humanoid interface. That's what it was. And what about Mikuru? Asahina is quite simple to explain. She's traveled through time from the future, so she's a time traveler. How many years into the future she's from? I don't know that one. She won't tell me. Aha, I get it now. You do? Which means Koizumi is an esper. Is that what you were about to say? That is in fact what I was about to say. I see. And with that, Haruhi's eyebrows began twitching. She then slowly took a deep breath before shouting, "Don't mess with me!" As you can see, Haruhi didn't believe the truth I revealed to her in the least. I guess it can't be helped. In fact, I found it hard to believe that they're a pseudo-alien time traveler and esper freak, even after witnessing concrete proof. Asking Haruhi to believe me when she hasn't witnessed anything would be kind of a stretch. But still, what else could I say? Every word I spoke was true. Hard as it may be to believe, I have a habit of telling the truth when lying won't accomplish anything. Though, I'm pretty sure if some nice person were to come up to me and start off with, "These people you know really well are actually ... I would probably respond, "Don't mess with me." And if that person was serious about it, I'd have to wonder if he was afflicted by some kind of mental disease or some freakish vibes that got into his head. Might even feel sorry for the guy. In any case, I try to avoid any contact with him. Wouldn't that guy be me right now? Kyon, listen very carefully. Haruhi glared at me with her eyes on fire. You're not going to find aliens, time travelers, and espers just standing around. They're so rare we have to look for them, find them, capture them, grab them by the neck, and tie them up nice and tight so they can't get away. There's no possible way that all the brigade members I randomly chose could be that special. Your sentiment is absolutely correct. But count me out. The other 3 members are, in fact, supernatural phenomena. I'm the only one who's an ordinary member of the human race that evolved on this planet. And yeah, she really did choose them randomly. But why did this girl suddenly have common sense such an odd time? If she had just believed me, things would be a lot simpler now. At the very least, the twisted organization known as the SOS Brigade would be able to disband, given that it's some strange association that exists for Haruhi to find aliens, etc., and other mysterious things. Once she's found them, they'll no longer be needed. Haruhi can just have fun with them by herself afterward. I mean, you can let me join in every once in a while. I'm fine with filling the role of the assistant on a quiz show who stands next to the host and just laughs because that's what you do. Right now, I'm more like a trained mutt in a dog show. Of course, I have no idea what could happen to the world if Haruhi became aware of these phenomena. By the way, there are only 2 people involved in that beginning conversation that just happened. Here on the day of the second SOS Brigade wanders around town, temporary name Do Not Steal, in the cafe in front of the station. After having shamelessly verified that Haruhi would be paying, I calmly explained the situation while sipping my strong coffee. Haruhi acted like she didn't believe a word I said. Well, I guess that's to be expected. Anyone who actually believes this stuff has serious issues. I didn't go into any specifics, just gave her a general summary. Revealing too many details would only make my mind more suspect. Remember, this is coming from someone who is dragged into Nagato's apartment and subjected to a winding, incomprehensible freak spiel about galactic proportions. I know what I'm talking about. That's enough of your lame, dumb jokes. After Haruhi finished sucking the yellow-green vegetable juice through her straw, she spoke. Let's get going then. We can't split up today, so the two of us will have to search every nook and cranny. And I forgot my wallet, so here's the check. As I stared at the slip of paper reading 830 yen and tried to formulate an objection, Haruhi gulped down the rest of my coffee, glared at me as to ensure that she wouldn't hear any more complaints, stomped out of the room in an automatic door of the cafe, and stood outside with her arms crossed. That was half a year ago. Now that I stop and think about it, the past 6 months have been filled with strange happenings. The SOS Brigade is still officially named the Save the World by Overloading It with Fun Haruhi Suzumiya Brigade, which makes me shiver, and I still have no idea where or how this brigade has overloaded the world with fun. Besides, the only one who ever gets psyched up about these things is Haruhi. The purpose and activities of this brigade remain, as always, a mystery. Apparently, her goal is to have fun with aliens, kidnap time travelers, and battle alongside espers. As of this point, Haruhi believes that she is yet to succeed. That would be because Haruhi thinks she hasn't met aliens, time travelers, and espers. Since she didn't believe me when I was kind enough to tell her the truth about the identities of the 3 other people in the SOS Brigade, it is no longer my concern. And so the SOS Brigade has yet to achieve its goal, and consequently has yet to lose its purpose and happily disband. Which is why to this day, the organization unrecognized by the school continues to exist in the corner of the clubhouse. Naturally, the 5 members, including me, are still parasites in the literary club room. The Student Council Executive Committee was apparently chosen to ignore the SOS Brigade in every possible way. While they brushed aside my charter application, they didn't say a word about our illegal takeover of the club room. Maybe because Yuki Nagato, who was originally the only literary club member, hasn't said anything. I would deduce that they have determined that feigning ignorance would be much healthier than trying to negotiate with Haruhi. Smart move. I mean, think about it. No one would step on a mine if it has a "this will explode if you step on it" spelled out in every language in neon lights. I know I wouldn't. If I had known back when I entered this school, I wouldn't have talked to that sour-faced girl sitting behind me in class. An ordinary high school student who has accidentally tripped a bomb and is now running in circles like an idiot while holding down the trigger. That would be my current position. And this bomb labeled Haruhi Suzumiya doesn't have a timer counting when the time is left and when it will explode. We don't know when it will explode, how much damage it will cause, what's inside, or even if it's a bomb. It might be just some piece of junk that someone said was a bomb. Can't even be sure about that. I can't seem to find the garbage chute for dangerous items, which means that this personally dangerous thing is particularly cemented to my hand. Seriously, how am I supposed to get rid of this girl? Chapter 1. School-wide events are an indispensable part of school, though they happen sporadically. Which reminds me, my high school had an athletic festival last month. I was pretty skeptical when Haruhi mentioned having the SOS Brigade participate in the exhibition relay during the interclub meet. But what do you know? The SOS Brigade really did participate in a relay. I sure didn't expect to blow away the track team and stomp all over the rugby team, but with Haruhi running anchor, crossing the finish line approximately 13 lengths ahead of the closest runner was pretty consistent. As a result, our interest had gone from being whispered about by students to the point where it was buzzing around school like someone had just pulled the fire alarm during class. Most of the blame lies with Haruhi for coming up with the idea, but the second runner, Nagato, is also at fault. I certainly would never expected her to run so fast that she might as well have been teleporting. When I asked Nagato what type of magic she had used, the humorless alien-made organic android gave me an explanation using terms like energy level and quantum leap, which I appreciated, but seeing how I already given up a career in the sciences and chosen a path of liberal arts, I had no idea what she was talking about. Not that I wanted to know. Once the crazy athletic festival was over, I eagerly anticipated the coming of a new month, only to learn that we had a cultural festival coming up. At this very moment, our lame prefectural high school was preparing for the event, except that the only ones preparing were the teachers, executive committee members, and the members of any cultural clubs, for which this was their one opportunity to shine. Of course, a club must be recognized before it can hold any club activities, and since the SOS Brigade had yet to be recognized, we had no need to engage in any creative preparations. Though, I wouldn't have minded picking up some stray cat in a neighborhood and throwing it into a cage with a sign saying "extraterrestrial beast" as some sort of exhibition. But the people who didn't get the joke would probably make a fuss, and the ones who did get it would only ridicule us. Besides, there was no real reason for me to stretch my mind to come up with something for the festival. I had no motivation to do it. A cultural festival at a typical high school like ours is always dull. If you don't believe me, go take a peek at any school that's having a festival. You will then learn the reality that it's just another school event. By the way, if you're wondering what 1-5, the class Haruhi and I are in, is doing, we copped out and went with some random survey. After Asakura ran off somewhere last spring, no other student in the class was crazy enough to take up the leadership position. The current plan only came after homeroom teacher Okabe strained and come up with an idea during an extended and uncomfortable homeroom period. No one was for or against it, so the matter was settled when class ended and we ran out of time. No one even knew what the survey would be about, or who would have fun doing this. Though I doubt anyone would ever enjoy it, but that's how it goes. Work hard, people. And with that, feeling completely languid, I perform my daily ritual of heading to the clubroom. Why? Because the girl stopping next to me is saying the following. A survey is so dumb. She made a face like she poured hot sauce in her mouth. Where's the fun in that? I don't get it. Well, then you should have spoken up. Didn't you see how Okabe looked like he were holding a wake in his classroom? Doesn't matter. I have no intention of participating in anything the class does. There's no fun in doing anything with those people. Except I vaguely remember you contributing to the class winning the all-around championship. Weren't you the one that ran anchor and won the short, medium, and long medley races? Or was that someone else? That's different. How is that different? This is a cultural festival, or you could call it a campus festival. Though I suppose you wouldn't use the word campus when talking about a public school, but whatever. The cultural festival is the super most important event of the year, right? Really? Really, she said as she nodded fervently. And then she announced, to me, the following proclamation. We, the SOS Brigade, will do something much more fun. As Haruhi Suzumiya spoke, her face was shining with resolve, like Hannibal deciding to cross the Alps during the Second Punic War. Only on the surface, though. Not a single time during the past 6 months has Haruhi's something fun led to anything remotely pleasant for me. Almost in all cases ends with exhaustion. At least, Asahina and I end up exhausted, but we're the only normal human beings here. As far as I can tell, it's common knowledge on this planet that Haruhi is not a normal person, and I seriously doubt that Koizumi's disposition could ever be considered normal human behavior. And Nagato isn't even human. So, yeah. Now that I've gotten involved with this bunch, how am I supposed to get through high school living like a complete stranger to myself? I really don't want to repeat what I had to do 6 months ago. Never want to do something that rash again. Just thinking about it. Someone give me a gun. I'd like to extract and burn the brain cells containing the memories of that incident. I don't know how Haruhi felt about it, though. Since I was busy with devising a way to erase those memories, I didn't hear what the squawking girl next to me said. Hey, Kyon, are you listening? No, not really. What's up? The cultural festival! The cultural festival! You should be a bit more excited. You can only experience the cultural festival as a first-year high school student once. Well, yeah, but there's no reason to make a fuss about it. Yes, there is. Festivals don't happen very often. It wouldn't be a festival if people didn't go wild. That's what happens at all school festivals I've heard of. Your middle school really went overboard, huh? Totally not. It wasn't the least bit fun. That's why this high school cultural festival has to be more fun. What do you consider fun, then? Real ghosts in a haunted house. Stairs where the number of steps suddenly increase. The 7 wonders of the world turn into the 13 wonders. The principal's hair tripling in size with an afro. The school building transforms and fights with some monster that falls out of the ocean, or Plum, or the seasonal world for fall, that sort of thing. Now, I stopped listening halfway, so I missed everything after the stairs part. Maybe someone who has the time could fill me in. Well, fine. I'll give you a thorough explanation once we get to the clubroom. Haruhi apparently lost her good mood and fell into a sullen silence. We marched on, reaching the literary club door in no time. Underneath the plate reading literary club was a scrap of paper with the words, "With the SOS Brigade," scribbled on it. We've been here for half a year. Nobody can say this room isn't ours. And with that, she began arbitrarily asserting her occupational rights and started replacing the plate itself before I could stop her. People need to know when to be discreet. Haruhi opened the door without knocking, and I was able to see a fairy standing in the clubroom. Her eyes met mine, and my face lit up with a smile like the personification of a lily flower. Hello. Sweeping the room with a broom, dressed in a maid outfit, was the SOS Brigade's tea brewing pride and joy, Mikuru Asahina. As always, she welcomed me with a smile as though she was a fairy living in the clubroom. Maybe she was a fairy or something like that. That seems more appropriate than saying she's a time traveler. Back when the brigade was established, Haruhi gave me the incomprehensible reason of, I was thinking we needed a mascot character, when she dragged Asahina here. and then Haruhi forced her into a maid outfit, and ever since she does a complete transformation into the SOS Brigade maid after school every day. Not because she has a few screws loose in her head or something, but because she's just that sweet of a girl. Asahina's dressed up as a bunny girl, nurse, and cheerleader, but I gotta say she looks best as a maid. As for why, this outfit, while serving no purpose, avoids being suggestive in any way, and I'd rather let it stay that way. And I might as well take this opportunity to inform everyone that the majority of Haruhi's actions serve no purpose. But they often lead to something else happening, and that something else usually ends up making trouble for the rest of us. I wish everything she did was meaningless. One of the few good things Haruhi has done, actually the only good thing she's done, is creating this maid version of Asahina. She looks so good it makes me lightheaded. This is the only time I can't fault one of Haruhi's ideas. I don't know where she got the costume or how much it cost, but Haruhi has pretty good fashion sense. Of course, Asahina would look like a supermodel no matter what she was wearing. "I'll have the tea ready at once," Asahina murmured in her cute voice as she placed the broom in the closet. She then ran over to the cupboard and began taking out individual cups. I felt something hard drive into my side. Apparently, Haruhi elbowed me. "You're squinting." Apparently, my eyes naturally squint when appreciating Asahina's loveliness. Anyone else would do the same if they were in the presence of the adorable, graceful, and bashful Asahina. Haruhi took the armband labeled Chief off the desk where the pyramid labeled Chief was resting and put it on. She then plopped into a metal chair and leaned back, glaring around the room. The only other brigade member in the room was sitting in the corner of the table reading a thick book. Staring at the pages without looking up even once was the first-year literary club member who was, as far as Haruhi was concerned, like a bonus that came with the room after taking it over, Yuki Nagato. The classmate who stands out as much as nitrogen in the Earth's atmosphere has the strangest profile out of all of us. You could say that her background is even more eccentric than Haruhi's. Haruhi makes absolutely no sense at all, but Nagato kinda makes sense, which just confuses me more. If I believe what Nagato says, then this silent, expressionless, emotionless, heartless, quadruple combo short-haired petite female student isn't human, but an alien-made communication machine. Don't ask me what that is, I don't know. She said so herself, so I have nothing to add. Apparently, it's true, but it's a secret Haruhi doesn't know about. Haruhi just thinks she's a slightly odd bookworm and nothing else. Though, from an objective standpoint, I'm thinking slightly was a bit off. "Where's Koizumi?" Haruhi's sharp glare shot to Asahina. Asahina unconsciously flinched. I don't know. He hasn't shown up yet. He sure is late." She carefully took tea leaves from the tea caddy and placed them into the teapot. I casually surveyed a garment rack in the corner of the room. It contained a number of outfits, as though this were a dressing room for the drama club. From left to right, nurse outfit, bunny, summer maid, cheerleader, yukata, doctor's coat, leopard skin, frog costume, some fluttery transparent thing I didn't recognize, etc., etc. Each and every one of them had been graced by the warmth of Asahina's skin over the past 6 months. There was no meaning in Asahina wearing any of these. It was solely for the sake of satisfying Haruhi. Maybe she had some kind of trauma from her childhood, like her parents wouldn't buy her a Barbie doll, which is why she was playing with Asahina now. Consequently, Asahina's trauma built steadily, and my eyes were treated to a divine feast. Well, if you add it all up, I guess it's more people ended up happy than not, so I'll keep my mouth shut. "Mikuru, tea." "Yes, right away." Asahina hurriedly poured green tea into the teacup labeled Haruhi in magic marker before placing it on a tray and slowly carrying it over. Haruhi blew on the hot tea before speaking like a master of flower arranging, criticizing the ineptitude of an apprentice. "Mikuru, I'm pretty sure I've told you this before. Do you remember?" "What?" Asahina clung to the tray nervously. "What was it again?" She tilted her head questioningly like a Java sparrow trying to remember the taste of a hemp seed it ate the day before. Haruhi set her teacup on the desk. "When you carry the tea over, you're supposed to trip and spill the tea once every 3 times. You're not acting the least bit like a clumsy maid." I'm sorry." Asahina shrugged. This was the first I've heard of such an order. So what, Haruhi thinks all maids are clumsy? "That's fine, Mikuru. You can practice on Kyon. Make sure the teacup's end's flipped over on his head." "Huh?" That was Asahina's response as she turned and glanced at me. I was looking around for a drill so I could plug up that empty hole in Haruhi's head, but unfortunately I couldn't find one, so instead I just sat and sighed. "Asahina, only people with mental issues find Haruhi's jokes funny." You should have learned that by now, but I refrained from voicing that last sentiment. Haruhi's eyes narrowed. "Hey, stupid, I'm not joking. I'm always serious." Then it must be worse than we thought. You should go get a CT scan. And if I get really pissed whenever you call me stupid, does that mean I lack a sense of humor? "Fine, I'll show you how it's done. You go next, Mikuru." Haruhi leapt from the metal chair, swiped the tray from babbling Asahina, picked up the teapot, and began pouring tea into the cup marked with my name. As I watched in a daze, Haruhi set the teacup on a tray, spilling a considerable amount. She verified my location before nodding and heading towards my position, which was when I plucked the teacup from the side. "Hey, don't interfere!" Interfere? If someone's willing to stand still while hot tea is being poured onto their head, he's either one hell of a nice guy or some kind of insurance scam artist. I remained standing as I drank the green tea Haruhi had poured and pondered why it tasted so different from Asahina's tea when they used the same leaves. That was a no-brainer. The difference would be a spice called love. If Asahina was a wild white rose in bloom, then this girl would be some kind of special rose with all thorns that never bloomed, and bore no fruit, naturally. Haruhi glared at me with chastising eyes as I silently drank my tea. With a flip of her hair, she returned to the chief's desk. Slurp. She made a face like she was drinking boiling bitter medicine. Asahina, relieved, returned to her service, pouring tea into Nagato's cup and placing it in front of the reading girl. Nagato didn't even flinch. She remained fixed on her hardcover. You should at least show a little gratitude. It'd probably take Taniguchi 3 days to finish savoring that tea. Nagato continued flipping through the pages without looking up. Since that's always how it was, Asahina didn't actually mind and went back to her own teacup on standby. That's when the 5th Brigade member walked in, despite the fact that no one would have cared if he never showed up. Homeroom lasted much longer than usual. The one who opened the door with a seemingly harmless smile beaming on his face would be, according to Haruhi, the mysterious transfer student, Itsuki Koizumi. With a smile like that on his face, I would never introduce him, as a friend, to my girlfriend. Well, that is, if I had one. "It appears I'm the last one. I apologize if I delayed the meeting. Or should I treat everyone to something?" "Meeting? What's that? I didn't hear anything about a meeting." "Oh, I forgot to tell you," Haruhi said as she rested her chin in her hands. "I told everyone during lunch, just figured I'd tell you whenever." How can you have time to go to other classrooms yet not find time to tell the person sitting in front of you in your own classroom? Who cares? It's all the same anyway. The issue isn't what you heard or when you heard it, but what you're doing right now. Her words may sound impressive on the surface, but it has been well established that anything she does only serves to worsen my mood. Moving on. Time to think about what to do now. Do a better job of distinguishing between now in this very instant or now in the near future. And what would the subject of the sentence be, a singular I or a plural we? Of course, I mean, all of us. This will be an SOS Brigade event. Event? I asked. Weren't you listening? The only event this time of year is the cultural festival. That isn't a brigade event. It's a school event. If you wanted to promote the cultural festival so badly, you should have run with the elections for the executive committee. You'd be flooded with menial tasks to do. Well, that would defeat the purpose. We need to create an SOS Brigade-style activity. I've spent too much effort building up this brigade. Not a soul in this school should be able to say that they don't know about this super hot group. What would constitute an SOS Brigade-style activity? I thought back on the SOS Brigade activities over the past 6 months, and I became a bit depressed. You have it easy since you just throw out whatever idea comes to your mind, but what about the suffering Asahina and I have been going through? Koizumi just smiles shrewdly, and Nagato is absolutely no help when it comes to brainstorming. I guess Asahina isn't exactly normal, but she's cute, so it makes it okay. She just needs to stand there as a treat for my eyes and a balm for my weary soul. We have to meet their expectations, Haruhi said with a contemplative look on her face. Who exactly is expecting anything from the SOS Brigade? That's worth having a survey about. And I don't see how you built up this brigade when our standing is still below that of a student association and our number of members hasn't increased. Since more members would only complicate the situation, I could live without them. But the way things look now, the derailed Haruhi Express is going to keep skidding on. And the only passengers are the 5 of us. I like to find a scapegoat to take my place. I'll even pay an hourly wage. I'm willing to give 100 yen per year. Haruhi drained her first cup in 30 seconds and requested a second from Asahina. What about you, Mikuru? What are you guys doing? Oh, you mean my class? Yakisoba Cafe. You're probably a waitress, right? Asahina's eyes widened. Huh? How'd you know? I wanted to cook, but everyone wanted me to be a waitress. Haruhi had to contemplate a look on her face again. Based on that experience, that look in her eyes meant she couldn't be thinking of anything good. And those eyes were glancing toward the garment rack. The expression on her face suggested that we had just now realized that she had yet to put Asahina in a waitress outfit. Now Haruhi had a brooding look on her face. What about you, Koizumi? Koizumi shrugged slightly. Well, we decided to do a play, but the class is divided between doing an original work or something more classical. The cultural festival is fast approaching, yet they still keep debating. It's a fierce argument, so some time will be needed before a conclusion can be reached. How lucky of you to be in such a lively class. Sounds like a pain, though. Haruhi's floating gaze drifted to the remaining member, who has yet to speak a word. Yuki? The book-loving pseudo-alien looked like a prairie dog sensing rain. Fortune-telling, she responded in her usual flat voice. Fortune-telling? I unconsciously echoed. Yes. Nagato nodded with a face devoid of expression, like she wasn't even breathing. You're telling fortunes. Yes. Sure you don't mean telling the future. I pictured Nagato in a black pointy hat and robe and holding out a crystal ball before a couple and saying, "You will break up in 58 days, 3 hours, and 5 minutes," with a straight face. You could lie. Then again, I don't actually know if Nagato can see the future. So Asahina's class is running a refreshment booth, Koizumi is doing a play, and Nagato is holding the fortune-telling convention. To be fair, they all sound infinitely more fun than the listless survey our class is doing. How about this? Let's combine everything and do a fortune-telling survey play cafe, I suggested. Stop sounding like an idiot. Let's get this meeting started. Haruhi instantly rejected my valuable opinion and walked over to the whiteboard. She tapped the board with a long antenna-like pointer. There's nothing written on it. What am I supposed to be looking at? There will be soon. Mikuru, you're the secretary, so take down every word I say. I had no idea when Asahina became the secretary. I doubted anyone did. Apparently, Haruhi just decided that a moment ago. Asahina, the tea girl now a secretary, held a felt-tip pen, stood next to the whiteboard, and looked up at Haruhi's face next to her. And then Haruhi suddenly spoke in a triumphant voice. We, the SOS Brigade, are doing a movie. I really don't know what kind of mutation is going inside of Haruhi's head. I'll just not think about it. It's nothing new. Still, this isn't a meeting. It's just you delivering a speech on general policy, isn't it? That's how it always is. The elegant smile he had made me want to draw on his face. His graceful lips remained curved up. Suzumiya had decided what we were going to do from the beginning. That doesn't leave much room for discussion. Now then, did you say something you shouldn't have again? Pretty sure I didn't say anything remotely related to movies today. Maybe she saw some low-budget C-movie late last night and its crappiness put her in a miserable mood? There's something I've always wondered about. Haruhi continued cheerfully, convinced that her speech had touched every member in the audience. You often see people die in the last episode of TV shows and the like. Doesn't that feel really unnatural? Why do they just happen to die at that time? It's strange. That's why I hate anything where someone dies at the end. I would never make a movie like that. Are you talking about movies or TV shows? I said we're going to screen a movie, didn't I? If I'm going to bother memorizing your insane blabbing, I'd be much more productive to memorize every last station on the rail line that runs nearby. Asahina wrote movie screening in round letters that really didn't look like the handwriting of a former calligraphy club member. Haruhi took a glance before nodding, satisfied. There you have it. We're all under agreement then? She sounded as cheerful as a weather forecaster verifying the end of a rainy season. What do you even mean? I asked. A natural response. All I know is that we're screening a movie. Who's going to hook us up with a film? Does she have an acquaintance in Buena Vista International or something? Bahari's eyes continued to shine with reckless abandon. Kyon, you're not too bright. We're going to make a movie, and then we'll screen it at the cultural festival, with presented by the SOS Brigade in the credits. When did we turn into the Film Society? What are you talking about? This will absolutely be the SOS Brigade. I don't remember turning into some stupid film society. If the Film Society people were to hear those words, they'd probably be pissed. It's already been decided. Double jeopardy. Plea bargaining will be ignored. If the SOS Brigade jury foreman says so, then I guess the verdict won't be overturned. Who the hell put Haruhi in the leadership position? Or now that I think about it, she put herself in that position. Looks like loud and eager people are the ones who become important no matter what world you're in. Consequently, good Samaritans who tend to go with the flow like Asahina and me end up being abused. That's just one of the contradictions in the reality of this cruel and heartless world. I pondered the profound subject of what could be considered an ideal society. I see. Koizumi interrupted like he had just figured something out. He smiled at both Haruhi and me. I understand perfectly. Hey, Koizumi, don't just accept the bomb Haruhi had dropped on us. Don't you have your own opinion on this? Koizumi gently flipped the forelocks of his hair. In other words, we're going to make an independent film, gather an audience, and screen the movie, am I correct? You are correct. Haruhi continued tapping the board with her antenna, and Asahina's shoulders flinched. Regardless, Asahina mustered the courage to voice her question. But, why did we decide to make a movie? You see, last night I was having trouble getting to sleep. Haruhi waved the antenna in front of her face like a windshield wiper. So I turned on the TV and there was this weird movie on. Didn't really want to watch it, but I didn't have anything else to do, so I did. Figured as much. It was such a horrible movie. So bad I wanted to make an international prank call to the director's house. So then I thought... She stuck the tip of the pointer at Asahina's petite face as she continued. If this is the best they can do, I'll make a movie that's so much better. Haruhi puffed up her chest full of confidence. So I figured it was worth a shot. You got a problem with that? Haruhi furiously shook her head like she was terrified. Even if she did have a compliment, she would never voice it. Koizumi was just a yes man. Nagato never said anything to begin with, which meant it was inevitable for me to speak up. Look, I don't care if you're aiming to be a movie director or a producer. You can do whatever you want with your life. And so the rest of us can do whatever we want and wish, right? What are you talking about? Haruhi puckered her lips like a duck's bill. I patiently explained to her. You say you want to make a movie. We haven't said anything yet. If we say we don't want to, what would you do? A director isn't enough to make a movie. Don't worry, I got most of the script thought through. No, what I'm trying to say is that there's nothing for you to fret about. Just follow me like always. No need to worry. I'm worried. Leave the planning to me. I'll take care of everything. Now I'm even more worried. You sure complain a lot. I said we're gonna do it, which means we're gonna do it. Our goal is to place first in the Cultural Festival Best Event poll. Then that unreasonable student council may even recognize the SOS Brigade as a club. No, I'll definitely make them recognize us. Which means that first, we need a public opinion on our side. Public opinion and poll results aren't necessarily correlated. I attempted to put up resistance. What about production costs? We have a budget. Where? I can't see the student council giving us a budget to this brigade, which moves rather openly for an underground organization. We have the literary club's cut. That would be the literary club's budget. It's not for you to use. But Yuki said it would be fine. Oh, good grief. I look at Nagato's face. She deliberately looked up at me without saying a word before returning to her book. You sure nobody wants to join the literary club? Not that I'm going to ask, but I wouldn't be surprised if Nagato had driven this club to the verge of being cut. Apparently, she knew beforehand that Haruhi would be showing up. I sure feel sorry for anyone who had their heart set on joining the literary club. If you're out there, work hard and reclaim what was originally the literary club back from Haruhi. Haruhi, oblivious to my inner monologue, waved her antenna around. Everyone got that? This takes priority over whatever your class is doing. If you have any objections, tell me after the festival. Got it? The director's orders are absolute. Haruhi shouted, completely unaware of what was going on around her, like a polar bear in the zoo that had just been given an ice cube in the middle of summer. From brigade chief to director? What was she plan on being in the end? And please don't say God. Then that's all for today. I have to go do some thinking about casting and sponsors. The producer has lots of work to do. I'm not really sure what the producer does, but in any case, what was she planning on doing? And what was this about sponsors? Slam. The dull sound rang through the air. I turned to find that Nagato had closed her book. That sound had become the signal for the SOS Brigade to pack up and go home for the day. After saying that she would go into details tomorrow, Haruhi shot off like a cat hearing a tin can being opened. Not that I really wanted to hear any further details. Splendid, don't you think? That obviously came from Koizumi. You know, for what it's worth, I'm quite relieved we aren't trying to capture an extraterrestrial beast to put on a freak show, or shooting down a UFO to exhibit its interior. I feel like I've heard this before. The smiling Esper chuckled with his mouth closed. Besides, I am interested in finding out what kind of movie Suzumiya intends to make, though I could probably guess what she has in mind. Koizumi gave Asahina, putting away the teacups, a sidelong glance. It would appear that this will be a fun cultural festival. Quite fascinating. I also turned to Asahina. I watched as her hairband bounced up and down. What is it? Asahina realized that we two rascals were staring at her and stopped what she was doing as her cheeks flamed. No, it's nothing. Just thinking about what costume Haruhi will be bringing next. That's all. When she was done getting ready to go home, well, it just meant putting her book in her bag, Nagato stood silently and walked out the door. Maybe she was reading a book about fortune-telling. It was a foreign book, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, I muttered. A movie, huh? To be honest, I was somewhat interested. Not as interested as Koizumi, though. My interest was only at the continental shelf level, not ocean floor levels. I suppose I could at least look forward to it, since I'm guessing nobody's expecting much. And I was already eating my words. I shouldn't have bothered looking forward to this. It was after school the next day. I had an extremely unhappy look on my face. Presented by SOS Brigade. Executive Supervisor, Executive Director, Direction, Scenario, Haruhi Suzumiya. Lead Actress, Mikuru Asahina. Lead Actor, Itsuki Koizumi. Supporting Actress, Yuki Nagato. Assistant Director, Cameraman, Editing, Carrying Things, Maid, Errand Boy, Roundsman, Other Menial Tasks, Kyon. Only one thing crossed my mind after I saw what was written on that scrap of paper. So what the hell's my role? Exactly what it says on here. Haruhi waved the pointer like a conductor. You're backstage staff. The cast is as written. Perfect casting, don't you think? I'm the lead character? Asahina asked in a small voice. She was dressed in her uniform instead of from the maid outfit. Haruhi had told her that she didn't have to wear it. It looked like Haruhi was planning to take her somewhere. I'd rather not be in a conspicuous role. Asahina appealed to Haruhi with a distressed look on her face. No, Haruhi replied. You need to stand out, Mikuru. You're like the trademark of this brigade. You should start to practice signing autographs. There will probably be a lot of requests from the audience at the premiere. Premiere? Where we're gonna have that? Asahina sounded quite nervous. But I can't act. Oh, don't worry, I'll coach you through it perfectly. Asahina looked at me fearfully and sadly lowered her eyelashes. We were the only 3 people in the room. Nagato and Koizumi were late because of meetings about what their classes were doing. I didn't see how it would require staying after school. They could just do something random. Guess a lot more classes are serious about this stuff than I thought. Anyway, Yuki and Koizumi aren't very dependable, Haruhi said before turning her directionless indignation towards me. I told them that this should take priority, yet they're late because of class activities. I need to give them a strong warning. It's just that Nagato and Koizumi actually feel a sense of belonging to their classes. The 3 of us are the strange ones for being in this place at the time of year. I suddenly thought of something. Hey, Asahina, don't you need to participate in your class meeting? The only thing left for me to do would be a costume fitting. I wonder what they'll have us wear. I'm kind of looking forward to it. Asahina smiled with a faint flush in her cheeks. It would appear that she's grown completely accustomed to dressing up in costumes. I guess wearing a costume that's appropriate for the situation beats wearing a meaningless costume for SOS Brigade purposes. There's nothing strange about a waitress in a yakisoba cafe. Makes a lot more sense than a maid in a literary club room. But Haruhi apparently blew her response way out of proportion. What's that, Mikuru? You're dying to be a waitress? You should have told me sooner. That's easy enough. I'll get an outfit for you. I suppose I shouldn't talk like this has nothing to do with me, but club members in the club room who aren't wearing a uniform just look out of place. The nurse outfit was pretty out there. Might as well stick with the maid outfit then. Or maybe that was just personal preference. Well, that's fine. Haruhi turned back to me. Kyon, do you know what the most important thing required to make a movie is? Well, now, I scanned through all the movies that had left a deep impression on me. After consideration, I confidently delivered my answer. Innovative concepts and an earnest passion for the production, right? It's a camera, she says. How do you film a movie without equipment? Well, yeah, I suppose I wasn't trying to be utilitarian, but whatever. I'm not so fervent about innovative concepts or earnest passion or knowledgeable enough about film theory to put up this argument. Well, there you have it then. Haruhi retracted the pointer and tossed it on the chief's desk. We're going to scrounge up a video camera now. I heard a chair clang next to me. I looked up to see that Asahina's face had turned pale. I suppose it was expected. The computer currently enshrined in this room was swiped from a computer society through Haruhi's coercive con scheme. And at that incident, Asahina had been the sacrifice. Strands of Asahina's chestnut hair trembled. Her lips, like a pink shell, quivered. Suzumiya? That's right. I have to go back to the classroom right away to take care of something. Shut up. A terrifying look on Haruhi's face. Asahina, half out of her chair, gave a soft squeal before sitting back into her chair. Haruhi suddenly grinned. Don't worry. There isn't a single precedent of you telling us not to worry when we actually didn't need to worry. I won't be using Mikuru's body as payment this time. I need your help for a bit. Asahina looked at me like a calf about to be loaned onto a truck. I refrained from bursting into a chorus of Dona Dona and returned to Haruhi. Look, tell us what we're helping you with, or else Asahina aren't budging. Haruhi's face plainly said that she had no idea what we were so concerned about.
Well, we're gonna round up sponsors. We'll make a better impression if the lead actress is along, right? You're also coming. You can carry my stuff for me.